I'm Ryan. I'm here with my brother Daniel, and this is Rolls in the Family. Today we are going to be looking at our favorite board game plays from October 2023. And just talking about why they rose to the top this month, which games, had just the best sessions. If you've had any really good game sessions lately, we'd love to hear it in the comments. What games have been hitting the table for you, what you've been enjoying. We'll leave links to all the games we talk about in the description. That is a way you can support us on the channel by checking the games out that way. But let's jump right in with Daniel's number 3.
Wow, Ryan, nailed that intro. Great job.
Thank you.
It's
been a long day, but I'm feeling on my game.
Yeah, well, it's been a long month over here. Our boiler's out, as you can see. I'm freezing over here. Just kidding. I've got a heater behind me. But it was a hot month of gaming. You know what I'm saying? Hot month. Actually got a lot of good games in, so I'm very excited to talk about these. We're starting with my number 3 play of the month. Going to go to a game that you've played once, I want to say, and you liked it. I want to say you might even want to own it. Not sure about that one. We'll see. Bold proclamation. That's going to go to The Search for Planet X.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, so I hadn't played this one in a good amount of time. And so my wife had a friend in town who I knew liked Logic games. She really liked, I think it's Loot of Lima, I think is what it's called. It's similar to Search for Planet X in kind of a logic puzzle type game. Think that's the title. So anyways, I kind of knew she liked that. So I was like, okay, let's try this one. And so we played a 3-player game of it. And again, just reminded, it's one of those games that I don't want to play like all the time,
Yeah.
But the occasional play of it, and it's just fantastic. Because, it's, as you can see in the pictures here, you got you're behind your folder, and it's a whole logic puzzle of trying to solve on the board where Planet X is located. And you even have an app that you use. It's randomized kind of every game. But there's a few kind of twists that Search for Planet X does that I think really makes it work super well. One, the logic puzzle is just really challenging in a fun way. Especially we were playing on the side of the board that has 18 sectors. You can play on the other side only has 12, which can make it a little simpler. We were playing on the side with the full 18, and I tell you what, like, it really has like challenging thing, with like these rules you're getting, these kind of the logic, and it's such an awesome moment when you just like discover something. You're like, like you kind of discover something, or not to throw my wife under the bus, but she is now notorious for thinking she discovered something, and then the end of the game realizing it was not what she thought it was, and it backfired. So that can happen. It is. I'm realizing a game where if you're off about something, that can just ruin you. So anyways, the logic puzzle is a lot of fun. I think the whole kind of time mechanism where taking actions, you move that many time spaces, and the more powerful actions in terms of gaining information, they're really good, but you get less actions then, whereas if you can sometimes be more efficient with actions that give you less information and kind of piecing them together, I think that all works really well. And then I think the biggest thing that really elevates this game, maybe for me above other just logic puzzle games, is the whole theory mechanic in it, where everyone is, because you're obviously trying to solve where Planet X is, but now every time you get to the theory phase, people get to everyone has an opportunity to submit theories of what they think a sector is. And what's so cool about this is, one, this is a huge part of scoring points at the end of the game. So it's not just who finds Planet X is the winner. It's you also score, all the theories throughout the game. And so you add that, but there's not a lot of penalty if you're wrong. So it actually encourages being not, you're not waiting until for 100% sure, like making some guesses. But that's really fun also because, when that gets revealed, that's giving more information to the rest of the table, whether it's confirming what the sector is or something it's not. So I think it develops the game a lot more. It's just a really fun thing of you're kind of just throwing stuff out there, of educated guesses. And I think that really helps add some interest into the game as well. So we had a really fun play of it, and man, it was like, yep, I'm really happy I have a game that fits this type of thing in my collection. So it just, all three of us really, really enjoyed it. So it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah, that's one of those games that's like a very specific niche as far as like it's like people who like paper and pencil puzzles of like, you know, figuring out and deducing because I know these things, what else can I know because of that? And I think the one time I played it, which is a little while ago at this point, but I remember liking that about it, that like it did a good job of like when you having opportunities to like figure something out, like to make, you know, combine some things to make like a new finding based on that, which is really like the most satisfying thing in that type of game. So yeah, it is one that has been on my list of ones to consider simply because I don't really have something quite like it, even though I know that it probably would not hit the table very often. Like when I think of like my current game group, I'm like, I think a lot of the people I game with frequently, it wouldn't be their choice probably among a bunch of other games. But I know I have always loved, you know, puzzles and stuff like it more so than you even. It's very much in my wheelhouse.
I don't know why I like this game.
Yeah. And so it's one, you know, I definitely would like to have, you know, even if it's not hitting the table as much.
Yeah, and it's again, you know, pulling it out occasionally, because the reality is, I mean, if you play it multiple times, it's a very similar feeling experience. Even if, you know, it's different, you know, different puzzle every time. The feeling of the game is very similar, and so for an occasional play of kind of a heavy logic game, it's a blast. So that is my number 3, Search for Planet X.
Nice, yeah. It's probably been a hot minute since you've gotten that to the table.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the last time you played it, but I feel like we haven't talked about that game in a long time.
No, I don't think so either. I'm not even sure if in the last year if I got to the table, so yeah.
There you go. My number 3 is a game that I think has appeared maybe more than once on these lists. And this has been really my kind of breakthrough favorite solo game as of late. I know it's always a little sad to come here and report my solo plays as my top plays, but sometimes they're just good enough to make
Ryan's just sitting by himself going,
having a thrill. No, but for real, Final Girl is just a game that can create such moments. You know, it's got that same DNA as some of these multiplayer games we like Eldritch, or some of these that have so much. It's such a variable sandbox, and so these amazing things can happen. But I had this game that I was playing in every game of Final Girl, you pick a location, you pick one of the killers, and you can like mash any of them together. I was playing on the alien spaceship, so think like Nemesis, right? Like I'm on like the ship.
I like that.
So it's kind of a cool environment. And then I was playing against the Ratchet Lady, which is like, she comes in the like insane asylum set, and it's like this weird like mummy lady that like turns people into maniacs, and like so that's kind of the dynamic.
Sounds about right.
On my alien spaceship. So this is that sets the stage.
Makes sense.
But what was cool about this particular session is the the USS Conrad is the name of the ship, has this unique mechanism to it where it has these key cards that you can get throughout the game. And you actually start with one, and then there's a bunch of things on the ship that can use key cards to like activate things on the ship. So at the very least, key cards are also always helpful because they can allow you to go through like these secondary air shaft things to like shortcut around the ship. Ooh. But then there's a few other like ones that might take 2 or 3 or even 4 key cards to activate these other things, like the trash compactor or something else. And so situationally, you know, you could, depending on if you find more key cards, can do these types of things. And the one that takes the most is the self-destruct mechanism of, if you get 4 key cards and go to like the main front of the ship, you can start the self-destruct sequence. And if you can get to one of the life pods in the 2 turns it takes to do that and survive that turn, then you escape in the life pod, it blows up, and you win the game because you defeated the enemy that way.
Right.
And so every time I've played this one a few times, and it always is like, man, that would be really hard. You'd have to really search for key cards because like it's hard to, find that many. But in this particular game, I started with a key card. There's the 3 item decks that you see what the top item is, and one of them was a key card. So I knew a place I could get another one. And then the opening event for the game was literally that the self-destruct sequence only takes 3 key cards instead of 4 key cards. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, if ever there's a time for me to play for the self-destruct sequence.
Yeah.
And so that's my strategy. Like I'm doubling down on that. And, the Ratchet Lady is starting to turn some of the victims to maniacs and they're running around the board. And it finally came down to, I was able to activate the self-destruct sequence. I even had an extra key card to open one of the shafts to go through, which is actually really important because that's the difference between it being like 3 spaces to a life pod versus like 7 spaces to go all the way around.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is perfect. I'll have like a way through. But it still came down to, I made it to the life pod, but the way the Ratchet Lady moved, she actually came there on the turn that I got there and double attacked me like in the life pod. And I'm just like trying to survive. And I ended up like just not dying. And then it was like, I made it off the ship. It self-destructed. And I just came out of it. One, it was just like, it's so fun. Like I've played it quite a bit. I'm like over 30 plays, I think at this point. And I've never had a game quite like that because it's so unique to that location and like how you went about it.
Yeah.
But then just the like story of it or just what's happening, like you can just like picture it. And it just had like this cinematic ending of me trying to like fight off the, killer at the gate for my, my life pod. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It had a lot of what I love about that game. And I think it reminded me of just how cool it is, the mixing and matching of locations and killers. Like, I guess the other thing that I'm thinking of the Asylum. I'm mixing up the Asylum and the Ratchet Lady because that's normally where she's from. But yeah, like, you go to these different locations and there's like things that are completely different there, but then even within a location it's so variable. Like all the games I've played on that ship have gone completely differently depending on the events and stuff. So a lot of fun. It was fun to pull it off. It felt like this thing that was like, man, it seems like it would be hard to do, but the stars kind of aligned with some of the effects.
See, every time you talk about this game, I'm like, man, this sounds like just like the type of game I would love. Except for the fact that it's solo. Like,
I know. You would really like this game.
You say all this, and I'm like, that moment sounds incredible. And then I would be so dissatisfied in realizing that I'm experiencing this only by myself. And that's just where, I'm just different.
Yeah, Daniel, I don't think Daniel's going to be coming on the solo board gaming train. It is
not.
Worth, because there are cooperative games that we enjoy, like Ghost Stories and now Last Bastion is an example of one that's basically open information. Pandemic is another one that's like, pretty much everybody knows everything and we're just like discussing. And I think there are people that actually have enjoyed playing Final Girl with 2 people.
Oh,
because like there's no reason you couldn't be treating it the same way. Just like we're both doing that. So it is possible. But yeah, I've enjoyed the niche that it is for me in those times where I'm not able to get other things. And I love with all that variety, I'm actually able to experience a lot of it because I can get it to the table a lot when I'm I only need to convince myself to play a game.
Very easy to arrange a game night.
Occasionally, I'm not very cooperative.
Do I want a game night? Yes.
Yes, I think I do. Yep.
There you go. Yeah.
So there you go. Final Girl. I'm hoping actually at some point in the near future to do a video ranking all my locations, killers, and Final Girls because I have played all of.
Can I be in that video?
Yeah, I probably won't invite you to that one. Just Peanut Gallery over there.
Sounds good. I'll just watch.
We'll see.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, that's cool stuff. Okay, Ryan, jumping over to my number 2.
Yes.
Man, am I excited to talk about this number 2. It has been a hot minute since I've gotten to talk about this game. You were saying, a game I haven't played in a while. This is a game I have not played in a while. And it's only going to get played a whole lot more. And this is going to go to Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's alive again.
It's alive and doing well. Yeah. I am so excited. So we have a full group of 5.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah, full group of 5. That we got 1, doing the Imperial, and 4 of us on the Rebel side, and we are doing the base campaign of Imperial Assault, which is pretty funny because this is the third time I'm playing this campaign. And it was hilarious because you would think I would like remember, because they're surprised, I'm on the Rebel side this time, and the Imperial has the book, and there's things behind doors, and you would think I would remember this stuff, and yet lo and behold, I go and open this door and forget that there's this massive E-Web engineer with a gun just right behind it, just ready to blow our heads off. So. And I'm actually happy how much my memory is failing me in this game because it's making it more fun. So that's been good. But man, we are just having a blast with it. We played the first kind of 2 scenarios. I love the character that I have. I just picked one that we hadn't had in any previous. I hadn't seen before. So it was Jyn Odin. And she's got a little pistol. I don't know. She didn't look super cool initially, but then when I was playing with her, she's got some sweet abilities. So she can whenever an enemy is about to attack her, or I think it's attack, you can spend like 2 strain to immediately fire beforehand. So she's got like a quick pistol. But then she has an ability always where if she ever deals damage to an enemy, she can move 1 space. And so I'm just like nimbly moving around the map, firing, and I was like able to like sneak around a corner like super fast because of it. And she was such a blast to play. I'm excited to see going forward. And this kind of gets into probably the most fun part of the game, which is the upgrades, because I was looking ahead at some of her upgrades that I'm able to get, and they are incredible. This is like the coolest part about the game, the whole just upgrade system over the campaign, because every character has its own character deck, and through scenarios you're getting experience points, and so you always have the tension of, we got 1 experience point the first game, and you could either buy a level 1 experience one, or you could save it, and ultimately the most expensive ones are 4 experience. And those ones are just crazy. And so you're always like, do I spend it now or do I save? And then as a team, you're collecting gold, and we're always, if we know, so we ended up winning the first 2 missions the second one was pretty close. First one we won fairly handily, and we're always going for loot boxes at the end of the mission. It's like, if we know we've got it, and then we'll like risk it to go make sure we get all the loot, because then we've got more gold to buy items and distribute between us. So that's really fun. But yeah, the scenarios, I think what I really like about Imperial Assault is it is really challenging. You can't just run out there, and you're not just going to roll over the Imperial. You have to be really tactical and maximizing all of kind of your team's abilities. One other benefit was we have a great combination of characters. Like so we didn't like communicate on who was going to pick what. We just all chose one. Oh, we have great synergy, and so that was pretty cool. But yeah, it's I think it's also fun that as the Imperial side, he doesn't have to like go easy on us. I think that would really hamper the game if it's kind of like, okay, just make it tough. But no, I think the balance in it is really fantastic. So yeah, we've been having a blast so far. 2 missions. We got another night coming up in a couple weeks here. So who knows? Maybe might be making another appearance unless we take the L. Then it obviously won't. But yeah, a game
there's
that
one thing about us, we only have fun with board games when we're winning.
Oh yeah, we didn't clarify that. You have to have a win to get it on your list, right?
Yeah.
I'm surprised
you have enough games to talk about every month.
Whoa, Ryan, shots fired. Pow.
Yeah.
Wow, man, Ryan, that was.
Yeah, you're pretty high on Imperial Assault, it is interesting because you're not a Star Wars guy. It's not like that's.
No, I'm not.
It's not like you're.
Okay,
it's a cool environment.
It's a cool theme. I'm a very very casual. It just is cool in the sense of like Darth Vader's cool, lightsabers
Yeah.
are cool, you know, like that's all cool. The guy who's playing the Imperial side, I think knows the like lore a lot better than I do. So he's probably just having the time of his life, except for losing, you know.
Yeah.
That's not
Other
fun,
than that.
but-
Yeah, so you're picking up Imperial Assault right as I just like halted on Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle Earth.
Yeah.
So you can carry on the It's
Carry on the
interesting hearing
camp.
you talk about the upgrade system, because it sounds, if I'm understanding what you're saying, it sounds like if you buy like a lower upgrade later, you can't like cash that in to contribute to a higher upgrade, or
I don't believe so. I was actually thinking about it as I was saying. I was like, can you? Because it's been a little while. I don't think you
you're
can.
like, Ryan, you had to call me out on the one thing I couldn't.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
don't.
no, I only
think
called
so.
it out because I know in Journeys in Middle Earth, it kind of does it the opposite way of you always can basically exchange cards back in to get
Oh,
there.
interesting.
So you can do like this interesting, you could switch. You could
Yeah.
even like, buy a level 3 and the next mission switch it out for different level 3 or sub
Yeah.
them in to get a, which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
Most of us are kind of holding off right now to like kind of wait to see our weaknesses, and then kind of fill the gaps.
yeah,
with,
yeah. You don't need to upgrade if you're already rolling through these scenarios.
Hey, I imagine our Imperial guy's got some stuff up his sleeve, so we'll see what happens.
Let's see. Very nice. Yeah, in those types of games, upgrading, I mean, that's like
Yeah.
the reason to want to play a campaign,
I know.
right? Is for there to be this progression.
Yeah, if you don't have an excellent upgrade system in a campaign, what are you doing here? You know?
There you go. My number 2 is kind of an interesting one. It's a game I've played quite a bit, but it makes the list for kind of a different reason than games often make this list. This is Marvel United, which I have a lot of content for. I have lots of options with the different heroes and everything, and it's been a
Right,
game
it
that's
does.
worked really well.
Is that the
with a
game
variety
you've
of
poured the most
groups.
money into? Is that the?
We'll do that video at some point.
Oh,
Drop below
no
if you want to
spo-
see top 10
no
games we've spent
spoilers
the most money on.
here.
But this one was fun because my 3-year-old son, for about 2 years, the last 2 years now, it's been all Buzz Lightyear. That's been the name of the game. But we've had a dethroning and a switch over, and it is Spider-Man now. Spider-Man
Okay.
is king in our house. Like, we had Halloween recently. Let's just say he's worn his Spider-Man costume like 15 days in a row.
I mean, I don't
and
blame him.
watching his little Spidey and Amazing Friends kids show that's got it's got the Spider-Man, it's got Miles Morales, and then Ghost Spider or Gwen, which are kind of you I don't think you've seen like any.
No,
of
I'm just
the-
nodding
or,
my
like,
head. I don't
or
even know who
like,
Spider-Man is.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is excellent movie, probably my favorite Spider-Man movie. But that has some of that. So it's fun seeing him get really into these characters. And so I had actually pulled out Marvel United with him. He's, too young to really know how to play it, but it's a fully cooperative game, so I can totally help him with it, and he's loving to see the little miniatures and like talk about the story and stuff.
Yeah.
And so this month, after he was doing a lot of his show, I told him, I was like, hey, Toby, in Marvel United, I have Miles Morales and Ghost Spider. Like, I have all 3 of those characters. And so my wife and I and him basically played those 3 characters and played against Rhino, which is a common villain in the show that he watches. And so it was just this very fun family experience of we basically recreated, this show that he's so into and got to play a game together, and it worked actually really well, even though it's, not really targeting his age group. He's able to kind of, I can kind of explain to him, like, you can do a move and a punch on this. Do you want to go over here
Yeah.
and do this? And just to see the way he kind of lights up or gets into just the, he's like taking his guy and hitting the villain and just like picturing it, like the imagination of a 3-year-old. So it kind of makes my list just because it was so fun to get to have that kind of experience with him and kind of see the potential for a game like this in my collection moving forward. I think we lost that Rhino.
Yeah.
He's tough. I think he beat up on us, but
Wow.
yes.
How you
So
handle
it
that?
was a good time, and it's been very fun to see him very very into the the Spider-Man these days.
Yeah, I'm expecting Marvel United to be on your next board game recommendations for
for 3-year-olds.
3-year-olds.
Yeah, and this is another unconventional pick, but Marvel United. I mean, the thing is, it's not that crazy for like younger kids. I mean, especially like
they
if you have
interest
kids.
them.
Once you get to like 5, 6, if they're into the theme, because it's fully cooperative, like you can really help them as much as they need help. Or play on like a bit of an easier mode and, let them make suboptimal decisions just for the fun of it. But yeah, it makes me feel good about all the content I have. Like I kind of have this sandbox that like he'll watch an episode and it's like, oh, in this episode they fought Sandman. And I'm like, I have Sandman. We could literally recreate that. And
that is like a perfect game for having like two sons coming up and just lure. He's into stuff. First one's into all of it, and man, that's been a smash hit for your collection, which is good because you win all.
I got a lot for it, and it's fun. I still haven't played so much of the content, but it's kind of fun. I know it's going to get played because it gets to the table a lot, so it's fun to get to keep trying new modes and characters. And
probably the only game in your collection that you, your wife, and son could all play and enjoy together. Or maybe
I mean, we have like quite a few kids game, like
right, but this is the first like,
more
not necessarily geared towards kids game.
Yeah. Yep, totally. And like I said, we had like a totally good time. Like it wasn't like, it was like a good quality experience together. So it was just cool.
It made your number 2 play.
Yeah, it knocked out a lot of other good plays of the month.
Okay, does that count for the first kids game to make the? No, that's not.
I think our first ever video of this, I did a kids game. That was like the joke. Yeah, we like started off the channel. I'm just gonna talk about kids.
That's funny. Yeah,
we've come so far.
We've come so far. We've matured so much. Yeah. Now we're on.
Now I just force my kids to play adult games.
Yeah, wait till you get them to sit down and play Agricola with you.
Yes, soon.
Cool stuff.
You kind of raved about your number 2, so I'm kind of curious what beat it out.
It's actually shocking because if you would have told me, Daniel, in a month you're going to get to play Star Wars Imperial Assault again, have 2 great games of it and all of that, I would think, how in the world is that not going to be number 1? But my number 1 play was actually played with the same guy, the Imperial player, but it was him and his wife and me and my wife, and we played a 4-player game of this, a game that we got to play with an expansion for the first time, and wow is all I have to say. That's going to go to Ark Nova.
Oh, that's right.
So we played a 4-player game of Ark Nova with the new Marine Worlds expansion. I mean, that just came out. I mean,
that's really recent.
Very, very new. And I'd seen a little bit about it. I'd seen it seemed like there had been it was pretty positive, all of the kind of the reviews on it and whatnot. And I was just excited to play Ark Nova again. It had been a little while. I was blown away by how much that expansion improved the game, in my opinion. I mean, to the point where, I really believe this is up there in my favorite expansions that I've experienced. I mean, just right off the bat, I'm sure I'm going to miss, some of it, but there's just tons of new variability. There's new, and we always, new boards, new cards. They add new those like universities that you can get. Well, they add a whole new one, and this one's great because I think one of the complaints sometimes is if you're like going for a strategy, maybe you're looking for a certain type. An icon, and it's just like, oh, well, it just never came out. Well, there's a university now where you can get it, and then it lets you like search it. They have like each icon, and it lets you search for that card, and so it's a little bit of a way to mitigate maybe a problem that they saw, and so that's cool. They have upgraded components and all of that just look better and are great.
No more cubes.
Yeah, although by far I think the best thing is the new cards that you draft at the start of the game. The new action card. So at the start of the game, you now get you have 2 of your, these are the 5 cards that you do everything with. And two of them are totally, I mean, there's obviously similar, but they're like unique, powerful versions of them. And they feel like cool and awesome. And I was like, it was one of those moments where you're just like, when he's like telling me about it, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just delightful. I mean, this is like you're telling me the very core mechanic of what I'm doing. Now I get variability and cool powers, and it's different every game. And it was so much fun. The game was just an app. I mean, Ark Nova, both of us already really like it. And so, there was already that, but you just added it on top, and the expansion was just wonderful. I mean, it is I think for any Ark Nova fan, a must buy. There's really, I don't see anyone who wouldn't love this expansion. It works so well. It fixes, some problems, adds tons of variability. And man, we just had a really fun game of it. I had a really cool board where I don't know if this was from this expansion. I know I think there's some map packs maybe as well. Does that sound right? Yeah. Maybe it was from that. But it had like 5 different colors sections, matching the 5 colors of the continents. And so, the first time that I play an animal that matches the continent and puts it, and I fill I place it into my zoo in the matching thing, I got to choose one of these 5 bonuses at the bottom. And so I was really trying to kind of maximize that and had a lot of fun with that. And that game is, man, that was my best play of it, both in terms of just how I did, but the most fun play I've had of Ark Nova. It really is up there in one of my favorite games, because just the whole thing coming together, it's a great time. So it's that, Ryan, I know you own Ark Nova, and all I gotta say is go buy that thing, go buy that expansion, because
the second they released details for it and I looked into it, I was just like, this is everything I would want from them expanding this game.
It was perfect.
And people have different tastes for what they're looking for in expansions. But for me, my favorite expansions tend to be increase the variability, and that without adding on like completely separate systems or like complicating the core.
Right.
There's some exceptions to that. In fact, one of the most obvious exceptions is the Farmers of the Moor expansion to Agricola. We've talked about how we're a big fan of that.
We are.
That's actually an example of one that kind of adds in some pretty major new systems. But generally speaking, the stuff that gets me excited in expansions is new areas of variability. And the fact that they were able to look at like, okay, these 5 action cards that everybody always has the same, that's a place we could inject some variability and just like right off the bat give you like more powerful things, which means that like you're now more powerful at the beginning of the game than if you were playing base Ark Nova. So that ends up meaning you can kind of do more in the game, which is more fun to do. I think there's a lot of examples of expansions. Terraforming Mars Prelude is another example of like, just give the player up front more power to like get a running start into the game. So it has been a must buy ever since it's sitting on top of my list. We're coming up on my birthday and Christmas, so I usually slow down my own purchases and throw stuff on my list for gifts.
You're gonna get a million things this month.
I have to stop buying things because I don't know if I'm getting them. But it is a must. It is a must get because I've loved Ark Nova as is, and just everything I've seen in that. And now, obviously, I have firsthand testimony from me. Daniel's life was changed from playing Marine World.
My life will never be the same, man. No, I mean, I will say this. I significantly like Ark Nova more after playing that. And I already really liked it. So that's about as high of a praise as you can give for an expansion to a game. And again, maybe it was just a really good play of it. I don't know. But it was just an absolute blast. So... Number one just makes me giddy just thinking about it, Ryan. I tell you what, just thinking about it. So good times. I'm very curious. Your number one here.
Yeah, you're probably going to give me crap because what better number one than a game that's played with one player?
You can't do Final Girl again, Ryan.
No, I'm not doing Final Girl again.
Okay, I was gonna say it's cheating.
You know, and I like looked at my list of games that could have made this, and I'm like, do I really want to put 2 solo games on here? But if I'm being honest, to the
Ryan
actual
played Solitaire by himself
and the sessions, this is the newest kind of addition into I have a pretty small kind of selection of solo games that I play. Like, I'm not like playing tons of different games.
Yeah.
But this was one that I added in that I thought would be good, and it is, my initial plays have been very positive. This is Bullet Heart. It's like literally bullet with a heart emoji in the title.
I'm just gonna start off. I know nothing.
I know. I figured you know. And actually, I think you'll be interested to hear about it because it's not only a solo game like Final Girl. This is a game that you totally can play.
So you could have played with friends and you chose not to?
Well, not in these instances. And I kind of got it knowing that it could fill my. I haven't had the opportunity yet to play it.
Sorry to all of Ryan's friends out there, man. He's the worst.
No, it's more my friend's fault for picking, going after the same games.
Oh, they're saying it's their fault for being the worst, and that's why you invite them. So.
If only my friends made me want to play with them more instead of... I'm like canceling game nights so I can play solo.
Canceling them all is another solo night. Yep.
Yeah, so to give some context on Bullet Heart, so Daniel knows like what I'm talking about with this game. Yeah. This is like a puzzly shoot 'em up. It's like got this anime theme where you're all like these different like anime power girl things, and like it's like bullets are flying around and you're trying to survive the longest. So like if you were playing the competitive mode, like you're on your board getting bullets coming towards you and you have to puzzle to clear them before they're hitting you, basically. And if you're playing multiplayer, those bullets that you clear would go to the person next to you. So you're like, the more you're clear, you're also like sending more bullets at other people. And it's just like last person standing at the end. Whereas in the solo mode, what's very cool is all of the different variable players that you can be, if you flip them, are a variable boss that you can play against either solo or co-op. And they're all very different. But the way the rounds work in this, and if you were playing multiplayer, the other thing is like normally this main round would be timed. So you'd have like 3 minutes that you're all trying to clear bullets and puzzling. When playing solo, I guess you could decide to play that way, but I think most people don't. Like you just kind of like play on your own time. But it's got this very interesting mechanism where you have a bag and the bag is full of these bullets, and I have the upgraded wooden bullets instead of the cardboard ones because after playing games like Quacks and stuff, it's just like, man, if it's gonna be a game that I'm pulling out all
the expense of Quacks wasn't even just Quacks itself. It's now affected every game with bags.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're basically pulling these bullets that are going to have a color and a number, and the color is going to tell which column it's going to come in out of your 5 columns, and then the number is how many spaces it comes down from the top, but it skips over any existing bullets on your board. So as your board fills up, like bullets can get to the bottom quicker because it's jumping over them. And while you're doing this, at any time you can stop and use any of your pattern cards that you have. So you have like 3 of your character's pattern cards that are like, if you can get bullets into this configuration, you can execute that to clear a certain, pattern of bullets. And so you're kind of trying to puzzle these patterns together. And you're partly doing that by spending these action points that let you like shift bullets over for an action point, or some characters have very different things that they can do with how they can manipulate the board. So it's very much this like manipulating to get rid of, use your patterns to get rid of stuff. But ultimately by the end of the round, you have to draw all your bullets out. So you have to kind of decide like, the more I draw, the more I kind of like increase the chances I can make some of these patterns, and like increases the chances that I'm going to be able to clear more bullets because they'll be in the right places. But the more I pull, the more I'm risking. They go up to 4. And so if I get to the point where there's only 3 open spots in a column, I'm risking that if I draw the 4, it's going to hit me because there's not enough spaces. So there's this very strong push your luck of like, when do you stop? And like, you're using your action points, but if I know I still have like 4 bullets left in my bag, like, if I use all my action points, then I'm just like, okay, I guess I got to draw the rest, and there's not really anything I can do, unless it happens to fall into one of my patterns or something. So that's all very interesting, like that just puzzling piece of it. And then it goes to as you're clearing these, you're basically firing them back at the boss, and then you're breaking these shields off the boss to ultimately try to defeat the boss. One of the things that's so cool about this game, besides it being really unique, like what I've described right now, like there's not another game I've played that's even really close to the same feel of this like puzzle manipulation combined with push your luck. And if you were playing the competitive mode, it'd be in real time too, a lot of this. So it's just a very unique beast. But the variability of the different character abilities is just so cool. Like these different heroines play so different. And same thing with the bosses. They're all like, they're unique. You like have to completely approach it differently because of the boss. So for example, the reason this particular play made my list is because I basically lost like the first 10 times I played. And so I finally won. I won my first solo game. It's like it's hard.
Wow.
Or I'm bad.
This is a pity number one?
It's hard for me.
Unbelievable.
No, it was a man that finally overcame after a lot of perseverance.
Wow.
But I was playing this heroine that all of her patterns, it takes the bullets that are in the pattern and you actually add the numbers that are on those. And depending on the sum, I get to trigger different types of abilities of what I can clear, of whether I clear things that are within the pattern or outside the pattern. And so no other heroine works that way with like adding the numbers and doing that. So it's very unique kind of how I was working with that. And then I was playing against this boss that basically every time I hit her and break shields, because the other thing I didn't mention about the bosses is they have like an attack card active that basically says there's some pattern that you have to meet at the end of your round after you've pulled and cleared everything. If you don't have that pattern, then it triggers the ability on the card, which could be like moving bullets down or doing something else bad. And so you're kind of balancing like, I'm trying to do all this and clear things, but I kind of also want to try to meet that pattern so I don't get hit by the boss's thing. And what was interesting about this boss is the harder you hit the boss, like if I break 2 shields, she would get to have extra patterns the next round. So now she has 3 patterns active in the next round that I would have to like, so that changes how you approach the game. Cause you're like, okay, I could really hit her this turn, but like, am I okay with that? Like it's really going to make next turn harder. And I might have to take a turn to just like survive and not like, just try to make sure I hit all those patterns without necessarily clearing a lot of bullets. So just very interesting. And I've just loved how different the different, people are. There was another heroine I played that like, I have this other token out that's like a crosshair and I'm like moving that around and using it to like shoot things next to it. So it's like, I've got this little thing I'm moving around and doing stuff. And so completely different feel than the other ones. So I've really, really enjoyed it. It was fun to finally get a win. Another huge thing for it, and this is a huge thing for what I'm looking for in a solo game right now at this season of my life, it plays in like 20 minutes or less to play a full game of it. And I feel like I've done a lot. So that's been really nice. I've played it, back to back in some of these sessions. I'm very excited to play the multiplayer mode. And I think I definitely want to try it. Like, I think you would probably like it. I think your wife might like it.
Really?
But very unique game. I'm very excited to have it in my collection just because one, it's so different from like pretty much anything I've played, but it's also hits on a lot of things I like in games. I do like that puzzling. I like the push your luck. I like, the real time thing. I haven't tried it yet, but I could see it being a lot of fun. They actually have like soundtracks, like exactly 3-minute soundtracks that sound like kind of like anime video game music or something. So you can actually like, really get into the theme. But yes, finally won a game of Bullet Heart.
Wow. I feel like we should just celebrate, Ryan.
That's what
how
I'm
did
doing
you
here.
how did you react to in that moment by yourself
I was like,
when you
finally, jeez. It's like,
wow.
I had so
That's how
many
you
games that I
celebrate.
like almost won because it's tricky. Like if you break the last shield and defeat the enemy, the boss, you have to survive their turn. So I had a couple games where I literally like died as I defeated it, and so I didn't win. So finally pulled it off.
There you go. Congrats to Ryan. Everyone give Ryan a round of applause. There you go. Great
Yes.
close
I anticipate
here.
I'll end up getting, they have Bullet Star, which is another
Nice.
standalone that can be used to expand it all. And so
Well, there you go. What a heartwarming
Like it.
ending to
Yes.
our top
A
plays.
true underdog story.
True underdog story. This is what the people live for, to hear a
Yeah.
story like that.
Heartwarming.
Started from the bottom. Now Ryan's here.
Yeah. I'm like
Those are our
1 in-
top
1 in
plays.
13.
Of October 2023. Like we mentioned, if any of these games caught your interest and you want to check them out for yourself, we've got links down below. And that's also a great way that you can support the channel. We really appreciate it. And we've got a couple more videos here you can click on, and we will see you guys in the next one.